Welcome to video number 9 in your series of 17 reasons why entrepreneurs fail in business. So we're about, halfway through now. So my question to you is, how's it going? A little overwhelmed maybe? There's a lot going on, and this is obviously why so many people fail in business, because there's so many dynamics to it. I mean, you stop and think about, we've talked about the income producing activity, the marketing strategies, what kind of team do you have? It is a 24/7 job, if you will, to become successful as an entrepreneur. And because of all these different things that need to be done, it's pretty obvious why 95% of businesses fail. So hopefully the information you've learned so far will help you raise that game up a little bit and remind you of the things that you must continue to do to have more success in business. So let's talk about what number 9 is today. 9 is leadership. Leadership. There we go. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good of a leader are you? How good of a leader are you on a scale of 1 to 10? So that's what we're going to be focusing on. One of the things I want to talk about and share with you is something about General MacArthur, Douglas MacArthur. He had a really good, I would say, definition of being a leader. So let's talk about that. He said, a true leader has the confidence to stand alone. And I like this because here's what that means. That means you're not afraid of the N-word, being able to say no. You will say no many times. You will make decisions that are not popular, and because of that, you'll understand that people may not be happy at the moment, or maybe for a lifetime, who knows, but you have the confidence to stand alone because you don't have to feel that you have to be loved by everybody and you have to have everybody's support. And then you also have to have the courage to make tough decisions. I like this part that he says, you have to have the compassion to listen to the needs of others. Unfortunately, especially for men that are in the position of leadership, many of them allow their ego to get in the way, and because of that, they dramatically lack compassion. And you can tell right away when you have a leader who truly cares about his people, or a leader who's just out there for maybe ego or some type of a power thrill or whatever it is. And a leader, a good leader, does not necessarily set out to be a leader, but becomes one by the quality, that's a key word, by the quality of their actions and the integrity of their intent. Great definition of being a leader. So if you were to go through everything I just said, how would you grade yourself and how well you are as a leader? I remember listening to somebody, and this person was talking about, this person was talking about hiring people to work for them. And they said something like, if you can't handle, I don't know, something like being yelled at, but it wasn't good, then this is not the job for you. So that person is telling you right away, they're probably not compassionate with the needs of other people, and they're probably going to put their ego involved, and they're going to be doing everything with an iron fist. That is not a fun environment to work with, not a fun environment at all to work with. In fact, I'll give you a great example of a great leader as well. That would be Abraham Lincoln. He was known as the man of steel and velvet. What does that mean, the man of steel and velvet? What that means is he had a firm hand. In other words, he would make decisions that were firm, but he was velvet. He was kind about doing it at times. And I think this is where a lot of leaders get out of whack, and this is something that I've personally been working on for years and years, because I can't necessarily say I'm a great leader, but I do try to understand the feelings and the compassions of those I work with, but that doesn't mean sometimes I have to not be firm. I've got to be firm. In fact, I look at it sometimes like a parent. How can you tell when you've got a parent that's really firm but yet kind? A parent who's firm, when they say something, their family or their kids know they say what they mean. They're not a parent that says something like this: if you don't do this now, you're going to get spanked. 2, 2.5, and right when you're ready to get to about 3, the child knows, okay, daddy means it. Right at 3, I better straighten up, and they straighten up. So what we've done, we've programmed or conditioned the child to know that when we get to 3, that's when you should listen to me. And then what happens is the parent then justifies the discipline of their child because now they're angry because it's their fault that they let the child have to listen to the count 1, 2, 2.5. Okay, I'll do it now. So what I mean by that as a leader, if you're having to tell the same person over and over and yelling at them and being tyrannical about it, and because they're not doing things because you're mentioning to them over and over, you use that to justify being angry, then you have a problem being a good leader in that particular situation. So learn to be firm in your decisions, and then when you're firm in your decisions, stick to them. But when you start telling somebody to do something over and over and over and there's no consequences, then what's going to happen is you as the leader, you're going to justify why you should be angry and mad and start ruling with an iron fist. That's just not my form of leadership at all. Another thing that I see that's great in leaders, when I was a teenager, I was mentored by 2 millionaires and later a billionaire. In my program, if you haven't gotten it, Secrets That My Millionaire Mentors Taught Me About Business and Success, that program, you'll listen to one of my millionaire mentors, you'll listen to my billionaire mentor, and in that interview, he said a very important thing that stuck out to me. He said a few words. He said, "I'm always out there." What did he mean by that? Well, when he was alive, he's passed now, unfortunately. That was a tough loss for me. But anyway, at the time he was alive, he had about 15,000 or so employees. And when he says that I'm always out there, he knows that all 15 or so thousand of his employees know that he's always out there. In other words, he's taking the lead, he's taking charge, he's promoting and marketing his business, he's bringing customers in, and when they see that he's always out there, they want to keep working for him because they know he's out there supporting them and they want to support him, and it works together. Everybody works together to support each other, grow the company, bring in business, and everybody's happy. It's a heck of a win-win situation. Which means, do the people that work with you, if you have a company with people underneath you, do they see that you're out there? Or are you expecting them to do everything and then you take your thumb off the pulse and then things crash and cave in? I'll give you an example of that. Not a good one. You may have heard his name before, Famous Amos. He passed away recently. Famous Amos had Amos Cookies, Famous Amos Cookies. He got to the point of becoming successful. He took his finger off the pulse. And then what happened is the team started to losing its quality, starts to implode a little bit, so much so that he couldn't recover. And I think it was, I won't even mention the name, another company had to buy him out for pennies on the dollar, so much so that they bought the rights to his name. He no longer could use the name Famous Amos. So there's a lot of important lessons there, and he admits that he's not a very good business person. He's great at marketing and promotions. And keep in mind too, in all 17 of these things that I share with you, there's no possible way that you can be great at all of them. And many times you'll have to find some of the areas that you're weak at. Maybe you're a poor marketer, so then you're going to have to do what you can to get by until you get the hat that you can take off and the income to put that hat on somebody else who's better at it than you are. So there's so many dynamics in this. So being a leader, there's a lot to be thinking about. I think the biggest thing is, be out there and try to lead with compassion, and be a visionary. Be a visionary so your team can see the vision of your company. It's very, very important for a leader. I think, of all 17 of these things that we're going to be focusing on, one of the things that you have to do is lead. And it's very, very important. Now, one thing before I wrap up, I do remember working for a company, and this gentleman was an inventor. That's what his skill was. And he got to the point he grew the company to a pretty large level, but he couldn't take it to another level because he really wasn't that great of a leader. So what he had to do is he had to bring somebody in, and he stepped down his role and gave his role to somebody who was a better leader than he was. That's not easy to do, to admit that. So you can't change what you don't acknowledge. So he admitted that. And he had that person become the CEO and lead the company while he went down, demoted himself, if you will. It's really not a demotion, but he went down to the department where he invented more products for his company. So you've got to find out on all these things that we go over, there's going to be some things that you're going to be really good at. Well, then focus on that. There are going to be some things that you're not so good at it. That doesn't mean to necessarily delegate it, but it means maybe some of those things you're just mentally lazy, you don't want to do it, but you have to do it. Maybe you don't look at your numbers every day because it's painful. Well, those are things that you need to do to be successful in your business. All right, there you go. I think I've shared enough with you. There's a lot more to come. All right, I'm out of here. Hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I'm again gone between now and the next time we get to chat. You know what to do, and if you don't, title of one of my books, Don't Let Others Rent Space in Your Head. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you on the next video.